Alright guys, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm still working on my truck. I had to take a break from working on the screens. Still waiting on some parts to come in with that snowstorm and everything that came through. Put some parts on back order, so decided to take a break from the screens and switch gears and start working on the truck. Go ahead and take it over here and I'll show you all what's going on right now. Day 2 of this mess. Got the bracket put in there. It's all mounted up. Switching gears and working back on the intake. Fixing to weld it up. Alright, so I had to extend one of the wires, or wiring harnesses. Went to the computer store and found these connectors. You can actually crimp them yourself and build the plug. So it's going to be for the AC controls. Extended it over there. I still got to undo that harness and extend the wire a little bit longer so that way this will lay down flat. But there's the rest of the junction that I made. So now I can put this over here. I can mount it up here up at the top if I want. So also here's a update of what I got going in here. I got the harness more or less laid out where it needs to go. Cleaned up the spaghetti that I had. I had to extend the air conditioner controller. I'm actually going to put the window switches in here since I want to make the doors removable. So versus me extending the harness over here and having all these extra little connectors I got to deal with, I'm just going to extend each point and go from there, because I still don't know where all this stuff is going to land inside the door until I get the doors, or I may end up just using the aftermarket doors. I've looked online and they have some with window regulators and everything in there, and it might be done already for me and I don't have to mess with that. Going over here, some people may not know, these things are all glued together. When I started welding on it, I guess the heat's made it separate. This piece right here is one piece. There's also a second piece right here on the back that's kind of like a flat pan. And then of course the third piece would be the actual canister. Those were all glued together and I ended up having to weld onto there, and as soon as I started welding, everything started coming unglued, so I had to redo all that. It was a pain in the butt. So if you don't have to cut into this, don't cut into it, and don't weld on it if you don't have to. Went ahead and made the sensor for the mass airflow sensor. Finished up the piping here. Also finished up the boost pipe for the intake, or for the the charge side of the, or I guess it would be the cool side of the intercooler. Yeah, the cold side. This would be the hot side. I have this one just pulled off because I was working on the wiring over there. But that's all complete. I went ahead and finished up the mounting of it. Some of the welds on the mounts aren't perfect. I was trying to balance, and the intercooler fell over as I was welding, so I had to stop my welds. I started running the supply and the return lines for the fuel, trying to figure out where I'm going to have the battery cable for the winch. I also redid the battery cable for the starter and took the old small wire off the starter and repinned it so that way it was using the original connector for the starter. Had to extend the harness on the brake booster or the brake fluid sensor because it was too short. It was like right over here and it wasn't going to work, so I extended that. I found where all the other cables were, what they went to. I got, of course, this was already mounted, this one's mounted, this one's mounted. Right now I have everything took apart because I'm trying to figure out the brakes, and this is kind of in the position it's going to be. I still got to figure out once I put everything together on the actual bracket that I'm building over there. I have the HSP, I believe it's HSP, intake Y bridge. I actually had to cut theirs. Theirs was cockeyed facing this way, which is how it worked in the factory, but it wasn't going to work for mine. So I finished determining where it needed to be, and I straightened it out so that way I can have my intake, and then I can have the actual intake from the air filter, and then of course the intake from the Y bridge. So that's figured out and done. I found I actually called Predator because I bought their radiator, and they were able to tell me the actual part number. It's 21770. It's a Gates number, and that one actually fits perfect with the factory LOY water or what's it called, coolant hose, and it actually fits perfect. You do have to cut a little bit of it off because it's in some weird cockeyed direction when it gets over here, so I just cut off maybe about that much of it. And then what else did I do? Still need to figure out the exhaust. In here, I don't know if you guys saw the turn that light off because it's blinding y'all. If y'all saw the whole spaghetti mess that I had going on in here, I got everything more or less changed now, or figured out where it's gonna lay. This wire is gonna get tucked up in there. I actually got the fuse box. I made a bracket to hold it with the original tabs. There's also another one up there for the relay junction box. That one still is gonna figure out where I need to put it once I get this bracket for the brakes done. All of the bracketry was glued and riveted in there, so if y'all are trying to take it off, you have to drill every single rivet out. But I did find that back when I used to work on military tanks, we had to pull a whole bunch of stuff out of the aluminum, or out of the tanks, and it was all aluminum, so we used air chisel. And if you just skim it right off, you can actually bust the rivets really easily, and it doesn't damage everything if you're really careful. But yeah, there's the brakes, and I got the steering column shortened on this side, and I shortened the steering column on this side so that way it would fit. It looks like it's going to work. I still have to determine that. And then because I shortened it on both sides, the shifter linkage between this part and this bracket that holds the cable is different now, so I'm going to have to take that off and extend it out. And also there's another I think it's like a neutral safety switch that goes from this pin right here to this pin right here, and it's too long now, so it's not going to work, and I'm going to have to move that part of the bracket, which is also tied into this bracket. So once I move that back how it's supposed to be, I shouldn't have any more problems with that. I went ahead and made my own bracket to hold the steering wheel up. It's just temporary right now. I'm going to reinforce it differently, because all it is just held on by that one face. So I got that done. I'm going to have to cut off this piece because it's keeping me from putting the other shroud over the steering column. And then I still have to figure out if I'm going to want it like that, because the steering or the shifter is actually really close to where I'm going to have the cover. So I may bring it out, or I may cockeye it down a little bit farther by bending this bracket a little bit farther down so that I can get it where I want it. Went ahead and got this temporarily mounted. I may put it down there, may put it up here. I still have to determine where it's going to go. I have the four-wheel drive shifter shifter controls, the headlight switch and everything located on this side. I still need to determine that. I ended up keeping the Bose system inside there because I didn't feel like cutting everything out, and if something was messed up I didn't want to worry about it until after the fact, so I just went ahead and left it in there. Gotta locate this grounding harness, or this ground wire. If I ever want to put the power seats in there, I can do it with that wire. If I want the heated seats, I can do it with this module. I'm gonna put the controller and everything over here for the windows and the door locks. So if I take the doors off, I can still use it, and I just need to extend the wires for the actual parts that go into the door over here. You know, route it up here and come back around. And probably put a little pigtail inside here, so that way when I take the doors off, I don't have this thing flapping around. So for the longest time I couldn't figure out what this button does. This one is actually a beacon switch for like a tow plow, or for the plow trucks, and not all the trucks have it. This truck came from Ohio, so it was equipped with the plow package. And there's actually a harness that's behind the driver's, or up here somewhere inside the cab in the Duramax. And this harness actually goes for the beacon light that like the upfitters put stuff in, and took us a while to figure out where that was. We had to look in the special Chevy service bulletins. My buddy Phil, he works at a GM, and he was able to find that for me. But us being down here in San Antonio and, you know, South Texas, we don't see that, so that's not a common option for us. I got the Bose. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to put it on the roof, or put it back underneath the center console somewhere. Like I said, I extended the harness, so now if I wanted to, I could put this controls, but I'm not going to put it over there. Maybe put it over there, or run it up and put it up at the top, so that way both the passenger and driver can see it and reach it, or, you know, keep it somewhere down here. I still got to figure out where I'm going to put that. But yeah, this is the Bose wire, so if I want to take it, I can route it up to the top, or route it through the back. Steering wheel, I just need to put on once I determine where I'm going to put that steering wheel. And then the last thing I got left to do is this is going to be the wiper motor for the Duramax, so I'm going to have to run this into the cab, because it goes, normally on the Duramax it would be outside of the cab, under that little protective valance, or whatever you call it, the cover that's on the top by the hood. So I'm going to have to pop it in the truck, and then come up on that center column, possibly be able to switch it over to the 12 volts and use that motor versus using the motor that's with the Humvee. So under the truck, of course, from the previous videos, I have the FASS mounted in there. I have it welded to the frame so the bracket won't come off or flex. I had to order some more of these P-clamps. As you can see where that blue hose is right there. I just got those in, so I'm going to go ahead and finish routing the wire or the hoses. As you can see, everything's real loose. The black one is actually going to be for the transmission cooler, and that goes to the back, and I'm going to mount it on the back side of the rear diff. On the blue hose, this is going to be this one is the fuel return, this one is the suction, and then this one right here is the return from the pump. That's the aerated fuel, so it'll go back into the tank and then keep recirculating. Of course, I got the transmission in there, the harness, starting to zip tie and route everything how it's supposed to go. As you can see down here, still a little bit of a mess, but for the most part, all the harness is figured out. Eventually, I do want to try and use those two plugs right there is for the main power for the ABS module. Eventually, I want to try and put ABS in here because I have all the wiring and everything connected. I just need to get a wheel speed sensor and the tone rings for the half shafts. I've seen they sell some half shafts with tone rings, so I just need to figure out how that system works, and the Duramax what the tone count is, so that way I can get the right wheel speed. If anybody knows anything about that, shoot me a private message or put in the comments a good place to look for all that stuff. Let me go ahead and pause this, and I'm going to roll forward a little farther. Alright, so we're over here at the transmission. The fittings that are right here I got from Dirty Hooker Diesel. I forgot what the thread pitch is, but they're year specific, so it's best to call and make sure you're getting the right one. It's a -10 to a -1090, and then the -10 push lock for the transmission pressure side, and then the low pressure side for the return. Of course, this is going to be the pressure side for the fuel pump, for the fast fuel pump. Can't even talk. For the fast fuel pump, this bottom one right here, I still need to make the return. That's going to go to the tank. This will be for the aerated fuel. And then what else we got to do down here? I still got to do the oil filter change, and inside here I got to change the filter for the transmission oil filter, and this one's a transmission oil filter as well. I need to put the actual oil filter on the oil cooler and finish tying in all these harnesses, and this is the downpipe. I haven't finished that, but I need to put the brakes back together and go from there. Figure out where I need to route it around the brakes, or the e-brake rather, and figure out the transmission shifter linkage, and then actually run the brake lines, brand new brake lines to the back, and then she should be ready to go. So let me pause it real quick. And like I was saying earlier, I went ahead and took the connector off of the actual starter cable, and then went ahead and put a heavier duty cable on there, so it'll be a lot easier on the starter. And then I think that's about it. That's all I've got done. Of course, I did the my coolant coolant reroute, it goes over there now instead of coming down over here with that other pipe. Or actually, I'm sorry. On the 6.2 and the 6.5, they come down this way, and they bypass this the drive shaft. So I had to go through there, and it's real tight, and it goes by the actual diff and in between the housing for the radiator and the fan. So that's where I'm at right now. And then over here in the back, I still have the harness for the tail lights, turn signals, side markers, the fifth wheel plugs for the trailers and all that stuff. I still got to zip tie and route back to the back, do the breather lines and everything. Oh, and of course, put the tank back in. And I need to finish spraying in the back. I ran out of time to spray and prep, but I need to finish spraying the ceramic coating for the heat and also the sound dampening spray. So all that stuff will get done pretty soon. But alright guys, that's about it.